I think rule number one when it comes to recruitment is you need to be transparent. With the COVID pandemic, obviously everyone had to be at home. The biggest challenge is that everyone's got used to it. Most businesses are coming away from a hybrid working environment.
What are you seeing in terms of trends around hybrid working? Welcome to Talent Conversations. I'm really pleased to be joined by James Madders of Casanex, and we're going to be talking about the impact of hybrid working on talent. Thanks, James.
No problem.
So, what are you seeing in terms of trends around hybrid working? What are the expectations that employers are placing on qualified professionals today?
Absolutely. There is a huge shift taking place. We're almost going full circle. So, with the COVID pandemic, obviously everyone had to be at home. The biggest challenge is that everyone's got used to it.
Yeah.
Especially us parents who, have to have a few other life influences that you need outside of the working environment. And the big shift in financial services now is what do you do about integrating people back into the workforce? Bringing back that camaraderie, working with each other, putting their arm around a person when they need a cuddle for good and bad reasons. Yeah. So. We are seeing now dramatically that most businesses are coming away from a hybrid working environment. The 4-and-1 model is becoming much more prominent. So businesses are thoughtful to still giving employees the chance to have one day working from home. But many firms are starting to do 5. Right. So if I look at recruitment last year, we started receiving a lot of potential candidates who were looking for work because their companies were forcing them to do more days in the office. Yeah. Now, it's a very different proposition.
And how is that impacting? So if you get a job on and someone's demanding 5 or 4 days, what sort of impact does that have on the pipeline? Are you getting lots of candidates saying, no way? Has that changed in the last 6 months?
I think rule number one when it comes to recruitment is you need to be transparent.
Yeah.
And I think you need to present that to each individual as and when you're going through the process right at the beginning, especially if if it's 5 days in the office, because you don't want that coming out at the later stages of a recruitment cycle. Yeah. However, yes, there is definitely still individuals who do not want it.
Yeah.
The cost implications of people now coming back into the office more based on both travel, then finding lunch, and then losing that commuter time as well has knock-on effects to their home setup. So there are still people out there who want to have that flexibility. We are not seeing any remote roles anymore at all. So the first thing we have to say to individuals is the financial services has been built for many years on people working with each other day in, day out in the city and around. Yeah. And fundamentally, if someone is not interested in a role, we have to just let them pass.
Yeah.
But we will always keep the door open in case they change their mind and still want to have a review of the opportunity.
And so do you see this being more pronounced in 2024?
Yes, is the simple answer. But we need to consider which company we're talking about. Yeah. So there is a big difference in how organisations view the hybrid working model. So let's look at HSBC. They've globally announced that they're coming out of their 20-storey skyscraper in Canary Wharf, moving to St Paul's, downsizing the amount of office space. So when you have such a large employee workforce in an institution like an HSBC, hybrid working for them is brilliant. Yeah. And this is a model which the major audit firms have been adopting for many years because auditors go out to clients, but you don't need to give them a desk the whole time. Yeah. So actually that becomes a cost or procurement-led decision. Whereas if we're looking at a small hedge fund, which only employs 30 to 40 people, as an example, being in the office 5 days a week is really, really important. Yeah. Doing the morning meetings with the investment teams, understanding what Joe, who works in compliance, is working on that could affect and impact the controls that the post-trading support functions require. So I think we need to look at it on a case-by-case scenario, but it's definitely becoming more pronounced this year.
Great. Thanks, James.